Okay, it was 4-1, it was not 4-2. तो बस मैंने कर लिया, मैं जरा इसकी एग्जाम रिपोर्ट भी लगा लूँ quickly. Okay, so this is question number 9A. Okay, great. चलो जी, ये आपके सामने क्वेश्चन भी आ गया, आपके सामने मार्किंग स्कीम भी आ गई और आपके सामने एग्जामिनर रिपोर्ट भी आ गई. All right, so let's look at this one by one. Okay, so the question goes something like the following. Explain. अच्छा, पहले आप सिलेबस का पार्ट देख लें. Second part था discuss the reasons for the need to maintain biodiversity. और again जो question है, इसको थोड़ा सा मैं left side पे कर लूँ. Question is explain the need to maintain. बस उसने reasons को replace कर दिए need के साथ. Reasons to maintain biodiversity in an ecosystem such as tropical rainforest. Now, what he's done is he's basically specified for you that your answer needs to revolve around the following, which is the tropical rainforest. Okay. Why do you need to maintain the biodiversity of a tropical rainforest? So it has specified. It's a 7-marker question. And again, this is from May-June 2013. Question paper varied 4-1 and this is question 9A part. ठीक है जी. चलें जी, let's look at the answers. Again, cultural, aesthetic, leisure reasons, moral, ethical reasons, right to exist, prevent extinction. फिर इसी तरह resource material है, like for example, wood है, fibers for clothes है, food for humans, medicine, etc. I mean, while there is this line of argument कि deforestation नहीं होनी चाहिए, वहाँ पे ये line of argument भी है कि भाई लकड़ी कहाँ से आएगी? At the end, wood has to come from the trees. इसी तरह tourism. Okay, a well-maintained biodiversity ecosystem attracts tourism. No wonders गोरा जो है वो इतना ज़्यादा पाकिस्तान का नॉर्दर्न एरिया देखने के लिए क्यों आता है. अगर आप ये मरी शरी नथिया गली तो बहुत करीब के है ना, अगर आप कश्मीर की साइड पे जाएं and these areas where there's less people go and there's less, especially the occupied Kashmir is one of the places in, I don't know if you even have seen, some of you even have seen जो फ्री कश्मीर का एरिया है, लेकिन जो ऑक्यूपाइड कश्मीर है खास तौर पे वो भी कहते हैं कि बहुत खूबसूरत है सारा. It has such an aesthetic beauty that you don't also find in places like Singapore and जहाँ पे लोग जाते हैं basically ज़्यादातर for tourism. Anyhow, economic benefits and then reference to resources species may have use in future, medical uses, maintains food webs, food chains, nutrient cycling. आपको अगर याद हो आपने कार्बन साइकिल पढ़ा था ओ लेवल्स में और आपने नाइट्रोजन साइकिल पढ़ा था. Okay, so it is very important that we conserve biodiversity because all of these ecosystems, the part and parcel of these ecosystems are these cycles, carbon and nitrogen, and even water cycles. अगर ये नहीं होंगे तो ये cycles भी disturb होंगे, and if these cycles they get disturbed, the flow of carbon and nitrogen within an ecosystem gets disturbed, which is actually detrimental and can be one of the factors leading to extinction. Protection against erosion, climate stability. Protection against erosion का क्या मतलब है? अगर trees सारे हम उखाड़ते जाएंगे तो soil erosion आपको पता है. I hope you know this phenomenon. I mean, you've done this in geography, right? Maintains gene population, genetic variation. This is very important. Diversity नहीं होगी तो if you look from the lens of genes, the gene pool will get less diverse. That's basically what it means. And it is also important for scientific research. ये जितनी biodiversity में sampling methods और फलाना फलाना हमने पढ़ा है, अगर variety ही नहीं होगी तो I mean what's the point of doing all of the scientific research? Okay, and then at the end let's see what the examiner has to say about this. Okay, excuse me. Where candidates were well prepared for this, they were easily पढ़ सकें. Okay, where candidates were well prepared for this, they were able to explain the need for maintaining biodiversity and so gain credit. Aesthetic, ethical reasons were given along with the need for resources from the tropical rainforests. and the economic benefits of encouraging tourism. A few references were seen to potential future uses such as development of new medicines. ये point थोड़ा important है और examiner को पसंद आ रहा है काफी, तो इसको हम जरा highlight कर लेते हैं अपने लिए. Potential uses and development of medicines. I did talk about this if you see in the notes that I made. Sources of food and medicines. Okay? But the role of rainforests in maintaining food webs and recycling of nutrients was less commonly seen. I think I didn't mention this. I did not mention this in my notes. So please ensure कि आप ये वाला point भी जरूर add कर लें. But less commonly described, weaker candidates wrote at length about one or two roles only, instead of realizing that the value of rainforest biodiversity is in its ability to carry out a wide range of essential roles. ठीक हो गया जी? ये थी इसकी examiner report. चलें जी, alhamdulillah. So that makes us get rid of the first and the second point. Now I'm going to jump on to the idea of invasive species. Since invasive species की बात हुई है यहाँ पे, so let's first talk about invasive species. So I'm going to talk about F part, which is use examples to explain the reasons for controlling invasive species. बच्चों मुझे बताएं, are we good so far? I hope बहुत boring नहीं है, interesting है. It's just that I hope you're understanding all of this, but आप ये भी सोच रहे हैं कि इसको याद आपने खुद ही करना है. But I really hope that there's nothing potentially confusing in all of this. So far, are we so far so good? Yes, no. पता नहीं. I mean, okay. At least one yes. Rabia and Zainab. Okay. चलो जी, alhamdulillah. So I hope you yes जबरदस्ती वाले yes नहीं होते, बाकी असल वाले yes होते हैं. चलो जी, alhamdulillah. So now let's talk about the idea of invasive alien species. Okay, so let me write that down here. Highlighter ने change किया. Invasive alien और इनको हम abbreviate करके IAS भी कह देते हैं. IAS, that's invasive alien species. Okay, so if I were to define, if you like, or describe or state what they are, then it would be they are organisms that have been spread, और यहाँ पे मैं brackets में लिखूंगा by humans, not humans, humans, by humans from one ecosystem to another, where they are not naturally present, where they are not naturally present. ठीक हो गया. And by the way, they can be from all taxonomic groups. What do I mean by this? Well, what I mean by this is they can be from plants, fungi, microorganisms, and so on and so forth. Okay. Acha ji. Now you have to understand the most important point is कि ये the reason why they are introduced is because of the activity of humans. Okay, and usually they are introduced deliberately. Let me write this point down here separately. That is done on purpose. And what's the purpose? The purpose is usually maybe as a food source. ये उसको हमने include इसलिए किया है कि हमने उसको अपने food source के लिए use करना है, or it can be ornamental or an ornamental plant. कुछ लोगों को plants का काफी शौक होता है, ornamental plants, or it can be used as They are introduced as an attempt to act as a biological control, as an attempt to act as a biological control. ठीक हो गया? All right, good. And of course, once this is done, that basically destroys. और मैं आपको इसकी कुछ examples हैं जो कि आपने याद रखनी है. I will give you some examples that will be easy for you to remember. So a classical example that you should remember is cane toads. मैं आपको इसकी पिक्चर भी देता हूँ साथ ताकि आपको जरा याद रखने में आसानी रहे. Cane toads invasive species. So these are typical cane toads. They look, I don't know how do they look, but so let's see. ये देखें गार्डियन में आर्टिकल भी आया है इनके बारे में. चलिए हम गार्डियन के आर्टिकल वाली तस्वीर ले लेते हैं इनसे. So I just wanted to show their picture so that you know we're talking about them. ये okay. So ये हैं जी आपके अल्लाह भला करे cane toads. Okay, now where did they come from? Where were they introduced? So I will pose them as questions. Where did it originally belong? Okay, it actually belonged to they're native to South and Central America. South and Central America. ठीक है जी. अच्छा जी. If they're native to that, where were they introduced to? So that's the second question that I'm posing. Where were they introduced? Well, the answer for that is they were introduced to many islands of Caribbean, Pacific, and Australia. Or the next question is, why were they introduced? ठीक है, मैंने आपको बताया invasive species को खुद humans introduce करते हैं for different reasons. Their reason was as a biological pest control. As biological pest control. लेकिन इनको introduce करके लेने के देने पड़ गए, as they say. So basically, they were आपको sugar cane का पता है ना? गन्ना जिसको कहते हैं. Sugar cane के ऊपर एक pest लगता था. Okay, so that pest was actually insect pest. This insect pest was a nuisance for sugarcane itself. Okay, so that's why these toads were introduced. Cane toads. Cane toads क्या करते थे? Cane toads were actually feeding on these insect pests. So therefore, by the way, the reason why the cane toads are named as cane toads is because वो sugar cane के ऊपर जो insects हैं उनको consume करते हैं. That's why they are known as cane toads. Okay, so इनका problem ये है. Why did they become invasive? Because cane toads they breed very quickly. What that implies is that you will have many of them. And जो सबसे ज़्यादा मसला है कि it has a poison gland that makes them highly toxic. एक तो they breed very quickly, दूसरा have a poison gland that make them very toxic. Okay, that make them very toxic. Or this is basically harmful. This has a lot of harmful effects. This has a lot of harmful. Yeah, it had a lot of harmful effect on the native Australian species. So that's why they became a nuisance or invasive. They were termed as invasive species because that's what they were nuisance for these. Or also they compete with other amphibians for foods. Chicks भी खा जाते हैं, ground nesting birds भी. और I mean basically एक तो they are poisonous, okay? एक तो they breed very quickly, दूसरा they are poisonous, and thirdly the point that you need to remember, they compete with other amphibians for food. They compete with other amphibians for food. So these are the points why हमारा एक एडवांटेज तो मिला कि जी इंसेक्ट जो पेस्ट्स हैं on sugar canes, they were eaten by these toads, but again these toads had other problems because of which they were classed as invasive alien species. ठीक है जी. So that's one example that you need to remember. क्या एक example काफी होगी? Well, no. If you look at your syllabus, it says use examples to explain the reasons for controlling alien species. तो कम से कम भी आपको 3 एग्जाम्पल्स जरूर याद रखनी पड़ेंगी. एक मैंने आपको बता दी है, एक मैं आपको और बता देता हूँ. Let me see if there is a, I think इसका पेपर नहीं है तो इसलिए मैं आपको इसकी आपकी टेक्स्ट बुक में भी दी नहीं है, लेकिन मैंने जरा उस तरह की एग्जाम्पल्स आपको, एंड ऑफ कोर्स एनी एग्जाम्पल विल बी वेरी, ये एक बहुत मशहूर एग्जाम्पल है और ये गार्डियन में 2019 में मेरे ख्याल से इसका आर्टिकल भी आया था. दिस इज वन ऑफ द रीसेंट एग्जाम्पल्स. Another example that you can use is basically wait, let me see. Yes, rosy wolf snail. ठीक है. अच्छा जी, एग्जाम्पल 2. rosy wolf snail. चलिए जी, इस रोजी वुल्फ स्नेल की भी आपको पिक्चर दे देते हैं ताकि अगेन इट्स इजी फॉर यू टू रिमेंबर. रोजी वुल्फ स्नेल. ओके, ये है जी आपका, अल्लाह भला करे, रोजी वुल्फ स्नेल. देखने से इतनी कोई खूबसूरत लग भी नहीं रही वैसे ही, but anyhow, so that's the picture. Save as रोजी स्नेल. चलो जी, तो रोजी स्नेल को भी हम लगा देते हैं. That's the rosy snail. There you go. Okay. Acha ji. Again, where is this native to? Yani ki where is it coming from? Well, it is native of southeastern USA. Southeastern USA. ठीक है जी. और इसको it was introduced. It was introduced to islands in Pacific and Indian Oceans. Islands in Indian and Pacific Oceans. क्यों, रीजन क्या था? Again, it was as a predatory species, basically. Predatory species. तो यानी कि as biological control for other alien species. ठीक है. This snail was intended to be a food source for human, लेकिन it became an agricultural pest. यानी कि predatory species थी और so the problem was it became an agriculture pest. ठीक है, agriculture के पीछे पड़ गई. So it basically, and not only did it destroy the agriculture, that's number one problem. The second problem it gave was it also started to destroy population, local species of snail. Okay. Destroyed का word तो मैं use नहीं, हाँ destroy का word use करते हैं क्योंकि predation में तो eating आता है लेकिन जरूरी नहीं है. Actually killed, destroyed the local. Invasive alien species. ये अगर आपने किसी, ये मैंने सुना है कि किसी वो जो होते हैं ना, क्या कहते हैं, जो आपके सीजन्स होते हैं उसमें कुछ इस तरह की बात की हुई है। इन्वेसिव एलियन स्पीशीज दे कैन बी प्रोड्यूस, नहीं उनको टेम किया जा सकता है फॉर बीइंग इन्वेसिव, बट दिस इज अ मीडिया नरेटिव। ठीक है जी, चले जी, ये दो एग्जांपल्स मैंने आपको दे दी हैं। एक आधी एग्जांपल आप खुद बुक से देखिएगा, सारी स्पून फीडिंग मैं नहीं करूंगा, लेकिन यू नीड, मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, यू नीड टू नो 3 एग्जांपल्स ऑफ दिस। सो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह दिस कवर्स दिस पार्ट ऑफ द एफ पार्ट। ठीक है जी, इंशाल्लाह कल हम फाइनली, असल में क्योंकि लेंथी काफ़ी ज़्यादा है और मुझे अंदाज़ा है कि आप लोग माशाल्लाह स्पून फीडिंग मांगते हैं, तो इसलिए मैंने आपको पास पेपर से भी और सारे पॉइंट्स के थ्रू ये सारी आपकी स्पून फीडिंग कर दी है इंशाल्लाह। सो मुझे उम्मीद है इंशाल्लाह दैट टुमारो वी विल बी फाइनली फिनिशिंग ऑफ दिस टॉपिक एंड देन मूविंग ऑन टू आवर लास्ट टॉपिक इंशाल्लाह। ठीक है जी, सो ये है जी कंजर्वेशन। आज होगी 15th of December and today is Tuesday and this is 2020 that we are living in. So let's go to your folder and let's go to your class notes and let's go to biodiversity and there you go. और ये मैं आपको अभी इंशाल्लाह ग्रुप पे पेस्ट कर दूंगा। बच्चों कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो आप पूछ सकते हैं प्लीज। एनी क्वेश्चंस सो फार? चलेंगे, अगर आपके क्वेश्चंस नहीं है इंशाल्लाह तो देन सी यू टुमारो इंशाल्लाह सेम टाइम। अपना बहुत ख्याल रखें। अस्सलाम वालेकुम।